Nestled in the San Jacinto Mountains, the Idyllwild Summer Arts Program continues a tradition that began in 1950 and still brings the best artists in their fields to teach in the Native American Summer Arts Program.
Idyllwild Arts in the summer program is not this huge institution, and what happens with some of the bigger institutions is they get so big that they can't function. You know, they're very slow to react to certain events or what have you. And so up here, we're small, we're mean, lean, efficient organization, and we engage the artists. You know, we don't go through middlemen and galleries or whatever. We engage the artists, the writers, the philosophers that we want to participate in the program. And, myself, Joe Baker, and Heather Companion, us three really work hard to provide programming that is truly connected to and relevant to Native communities today.
Here, the hands-on program is designed for all levels of experience and focuses on traditional and contemporary art forms. Participants work closely with master artists in pottery, jewelry making, basketry, weaving, and much more. FNX Now visited the Native American Arts Festival Week on its 15th year and got to see firsthand how exciting the workshops, exhibits, performances, and events are for all, Native and non-Native alike.
It's just a joy to be up here working with Idyllwild. I've been doing this for about 20 years now, and I get to meet a lot of friendly people, and we share, and they seem to like my knowledge in jewelry making, which I've been doing for over 40 years now. I went to an Indian Navajo medicine man, and he said I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And there's a lot of museums who carries my work in their permanent collection too, so I'm very honored by that.
I grew up having this fascination with the culture and the patterns, and as a jeweler myself, it's just natural then, once I developed the skills, to want to try and learn some of it and see if I could make a translation of it using the traditional techniques. This is my first time taking an inlay class, and I think I counted maybe about 6 or 8 different types of turquoise, and there's some dinosaur bones, some coral, some mother of pearl, petrified wood. But it's just been such a pleasure to learn how to make this and to come out with such a satisfying result from the course. So,
just a short walk from the jewelry making workshop is the pottery classroom, where after more than 20 years, instructor Mark Tabo continues to teach the art of Hopi pottery.
I come from a line of potters. My great-grandma was one of the well-established Hopi Tewa potters that came from First Mesa, and she's the one that sort of inspired me as a young boy to make pottery. So I've been making pottery since I was roughly around 16 years of age. In our language, she would always call it the gift. You have the gift, and one of the rituals that we have is when I sat with her, she would take my hands and she would roll them in her hands. And one time I asked my grandma, I said, why does great-grandma always keeps doing that to my hand? And she said, she's passing the gift on to you. And the rest of the things just fell into place.
The Native American Arts Program wouldn't be complete without the art of basketry. Roseanne Hamilton has been a part of the program for over 2 decades.
You can't just weave and not tell about, the plant life and all that, and who, guided us. So Moon Maiden, Menyel, it's in our creation story. It goes back that far. So it's, very spiritual, and, I just kind of don't go and say I'm going to weave this or that. I kind of just let it take its life on its own, and it kind of, does that. So they learn to appreciate the hard work that goes into it, because it is. My mother's side and my father's side, they're both master weavers, my grandmothers. So I grew up with it, actually. It literally saved my mother when the Depression was on. She traded her baskets for food. So she just, continued to weave, and I was very interested all my life. And then she passed away when I was young, but then I got the opportunity when Donna did this with this other elder, mother, Rosalie Valencia, from our tribe. So it was good that she done that, because now it's possible that the younger generations are, bringing it back again, and we're doing a lot more. And for programs like this, it made it possible to do that. So that's good.
Diversity echoes through the classroom, and we caught up with a talented young weaver following in the footsteps of her elders.
I learned how to weave and some of the little history that involves the Navajo culture of weaving and the stories behind it. I really loved the experience. It was fun. The teachers were easy to work with. The first week, the looms were set up, so we just weaved, but this week we actually got to set up the looms, so it was a bit of an adventure, and I had a fun time. It takes a lot out of you. Well, this is my first rug. I completed it in the first week, and these are kind of like Navajo colors, so that's why I used them. Just a simple pattern for my first rug, just to start it out.
After a week of hard work, the student artists exhibited their projects and prepared for the night's event. The week-long festival culminates with a special performance. Dancing and bird singing are an important part of the event. During our visit, an exceptional fashion show composed of pieces by well-known designers took place. But it's not all about entertainment.
We really want to open people's eyes to the fact that Native American fashion designers exist, and that this is an active form of art for our communities. And it's so important that we continue to encourage this form of artwork as well, because we have long histories, beautiful histories of adornment in our communities, and we really want to encourage designers to keep doing that and to continue these legacies.
Dr. Metcalf created the website Beyond Buckskin not only to create a space for Native designers to showcase their work, but also to expose current issues surrounding Native art.
I also look at critical issues in the fashion industry right now, with cultural misappropriation, with large companies misusing Native American cultures and aesthetics to make money off of it and misrepresenting us and stereotyping our people. And so I also talk about that, really take these companies to task and make them accountable for their actions. And so we've had a great response with that, really educating the general population about here's what legit Native American fashion looks like, and here's what the knockoffs, the stereotypes look like.
Dr. Metcalf did a slide lecture for us during the week, and I learned that many of the struggles that contemporary Native fashion designers face, the same kinds of problems that contemporary Native artists face in terms of, well, it's not Native because there's not any beads or feathers or what have you. And I found a kinship with a lot of these designers.
And I said, do you know what connotates Native American Indian? I'm Native American Indian, so that makes it Native American Indian. That's what I say. The story of our existence has not been told by us. So you look around in the room tonight and you see all the different aesthetics that are being offered. Well then, how can anybody say what's Native and what's not? It's just not fair. It's our turn to say what's Native.
A lot of my work kind of doesn't really tend to look Native American, so a lot of times people aren't sure if it is, if they don't know who I am or seen me before. I kind of just draw from my surroundings and from my culture, and I grew up in Santa Fe. I didn't grow up on the reservation, even though we've always go up all the time, but I grew up playing video games, and a modern American culture. So that's kind of what I draw from. I use all kinds of different materials and whatever I can take. I don't know, I just keep trying to just push my ideas and my own creativity. And that's kind of something that we both try to teach our students as well, because we both teach.
We do take a lot of criticism from peers and whatnot because our stuff isn't traditional. But the way we see it, you know, evolution and progression is our tradition, especially in the Southwest. Our ancestors have always taken whatever materials and ideas that are new to the area and made the best they could with it. It's just that we live in an age where there's lots of material available to us, and so we're just doing the best of what we can, taking it to the next step. You know, those old-time Navajo silversmiths, you know, when they got the Mexican coins, they just did the best they could with what they had, and at that time it was very avant-garde and non-traditional. And now, just because, you know, anthropologists came along and put it in a box, it's now traditional. We're just carrying it forward is what we're doing.
I started out about 30 years ago weaving baskets and making ceremonial regalia. So my background is as a traditional artist, and I did that for many, many years, and I really followed the tradition of my elders. My grandmother taught me how to weave spruce root hats and baskets, and I don't know, I just had this idea that the artwork needs to progress into something more contemporary. And there was a sort of a main school of thought that we have to innovate on our art in order to keep it living. So the idea of fashion came because nobody was doing it at the time, and this is in 1987. And then I went to school and it just took off from there.
The program aims to combine and teach traditional and contemporary techniques in the various fields of Native art through the expertise and passion of the instructors.
So thrilling to know that I've given a gift that is solely not mine, you know, a gift that my creator gave me to share with whoever comes across Mark's life. So I share that gift with who's ever interested, who wants to learn it and give it and share it, and those are what I leave behind. That's something, you know, again, very rewarding that I love doing.
It's the coolest thing in the world that this class is actually offered and that we can learn from a traditional Navajo jeweler. So, and Richard is beyond lovely, so it's great.
One of the most gratifying aspects of this program for me now is that tribes here in the area are actually coming to support this program. They recognize what we're doing up here is important. San Manuel awarded us an award for our programming this past year. Agua Caliente has donated to the program. Pechanga has in the past, and even my own tribe, a small tribe, Kuya Band of Indians, this year donated to support this program.
The festival is open to the public and runs June 29th through July 6th.